Yeah, baby.
Caitlin.
Worth it.
Peter Stormare is going to join us via Zoom. Fargo. I remember him from Fargo.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he didn't really talk in Fargo, but he
Man, a few words.
he smoked.
Very memorable part. Most memorable part per word.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he was Buscemi's, partner in crime.
Henchman, yeah.
Buscemi would be talking the whole time. He'd be just smoking and looking at him. But this crazy, sort of a interesting when they do characters this way, which is it's kind of what makes reptiles scary, which is alligators do nothing. And then they do everything all at once.
It's the archetype of a great loose cannon. That's a great loose cannon character because the guy, he like the alligator. He's floating. Oh, snap, because he's got a deer.
Right. All of a sudden, he's in a frenzy of killing. But before that, there's
no
almost
warning.
no movement. Armageddon, remember that? He was one of my favorites. I think he was the Russian guy who was trapped kind of going nuts.
I had forgotten he was in that movie.
I saw a picture of it. I think Chris showed me. He played a lot of comic relief and did a lot of talking with a thick Russian accent. Was that?
It looks like him.
Yeah, he was the guy who was up in the Russian space station who'd been there for like a year, and then they showed up, and he was kind of going stir crazy.
Brian reminded me he had that great but disgusting part in Minority Report. That like sort of backroom doctor when he replaced Tom Cruise's eyes.
Mm-hmm. The Lost World, Jurassic Park.
He was great in that too. He was sort of a two-dimensional bad guy henchman, but hammed it up. He did exactly what that role required. He's great in everything.
Big Lebowski,
of course.
John Wick too, done TV. Prison Break, and then Seinfeld, not in that order.
Do you remember
Entourage?
the Seinfeld episode where they're trying to boost that Frogger machine out of the arcade?
Mm-hmm.
He's the guy they try to get to boost it. Just very random.
Yeah, guy's had a really interesting career, so we'll talk to him about that and beyond as well. All right, so we got some made-up movie to do. Looking forward to that. Also, there was a news, I don't know if it was out of Variety, one of the publications, one of the entertainment publications, but it was J.K. Rowling.
Oh, yeah.
Who's not welcome on the 20th anniversary of Harry Potter.
Of the story she created.
What does she do?
What?
Brian.
I'm sorry.
She's a TERF.
I normally keep up my J.K. Rowling news, but please remind me.
Well, it's been people have hated her for a while.
If he's going to be condescending, don't remind me.
Right,
no,
fuck
I'm
him.
serious. I'm sure she did something. But
She's a TERF.
She's a TERF. The acronym is trans. She made the mistake of doing what Martina Navratilova made, which is like men are men and women are women. The controversial stance of declaring men and women. And for that, she's out.
Tessa's just getting into opposites. Like they're starting to learn that this pre-kindergarten level. And where she's like, ask me opposites, day, night. And this is last night at dinner. And she goes, boy. I'm like, oh boy, where do I go? Where do I go?
What do you say?
Where do I go here?
Yeah. She's going to probably live in a world where she's going to have to announce her theys and her thems and their z's and their she's and whatever. I don't know what percentage of our population is transgendered, but I feel like there's a very small group of people that are trying to control a very large group, and it's working wonderfully because she JK, and you have this story, I think. I think we have the variety story.
Before you do that, do you want to know what a TERF is?
Oh, yeah.
I do.
It's transgender exclusionary radical feminist. Very specific.
Very, very specific.
Uh-huh. So she's a radical feminist?
Who is also transgender exclusatory.
Yeah, excluding the trans community from being feminine.
Mm-hmm.
Radically?
I think she's the radical.
I don't know, man.
But the other problem is everyone, whether it's being racist or being turfist, others will label you that. I don't think most people who have been called racist in the last 10 minutes or TERFs would label themselves as a radical feminist. But she's been, I don't know. Do you have the article there, Max?
Well,
Pata?
everywhere has been writing about it, but basically, yeah, it's just they're doing their 23 on HBO Max, a la like what they did with Friends, and they're going to get everybody back together. But in all the previews, JK is not in it. They have not announced that she's going to be in it, and the only way that she is going to be in it is through archival footage. And this is in response to her tweet. She criticized the phrase "people who menstruate."
But we can't say women. We have to say people who menstruate.
Yeah,
There's no more.
Like birthing people.
She said, if sex isn't real, the lived reality of women globally is erased. I know and love trans people, but erasing the concept of sex removes the ability of many to meaningfully discuss their lives.
So she has F me money. Good for her. The other thing is Harry Potter's Harry Potter. I mean, I get...
Hold on.
Right. Write that down. Well, what I'm saying is Dave Chappelle just got hit over the head with this. Dave Chappelle, you could argue if you wanted to, and I wouldn't, but you could go, well, he's a comedian and he speaks on subjects that are relevant or timely or whatever, and he pushes the conversation one way or the other. And, I mean, if you think about it, remember the whole reason Bill Cosby got into what Bill Cosby got into is Hannibal Buress,
That's right.
Of course.
Doing a set.
So, you could say, oh, he's a comedian. He's speaking, well, who cares? And that's my argument.
Making
He's
jokes.
a comedian. Who cares? But you can talk about things that lead to other things. So you go, well, there's Dave Chappelle, and okay, maybe he is convincing a certain amount of the populace that of this or of that.
Right.
But Harry Potter, let me say it again. Harry Potter.
I'll write this down.
He lives in Hogswart or something.
That's pretty close for you,
He's
yeah.
got a wand
I've never
and
seen
he
it.
flies on a Swiffer.
A Gryffindor?
A Gryffindor.
First of all, Gina, how have you never seen it?
I've never seen any Harry Potters.
Well,
what do they play? Like Muggle Pucky?
Quidditch. I mean, I have no idea.
Quidditch.
You're due with that little boy.
Yeah, you're probably right. You know what? You know who?
And Adam getting close to Hogwarts. That's actually super
Hogswarts
impressive.
is pretty good. You know who would have been interesting to ask is Peter Stormare's co-star in the movie. Timothy Spall is in all the Harry Potters, I think.
All right.
The star of this movie,
Yeah.
it was in the series.
Well, what I'm leading to is this is a fantasy about a place that doesn't exist in a time that's either well beyond our time or well before our time. Unclear, but the point is this is pure fantasy.
Right.
So her feelings on transgender shouldn't really factor in since...
Shouldn't color your viewing of...
Well, how much transgender... What I mean is Chappelle gets up on stage and talks about the transgender scene.
Harry Potter does not.
She is not going to be discussing that when they ask her in real time about when she thought of the idea and the first script and on all the nuts and the bolts of Harry Potter. So why does she need to be wished out into the cornfield?
Whereas Chappelle's opinions are part and parcel and baked into the material and who he is, at least on stage. She's a couple of steps removed from her personal opinions on gender or whatever and the material that's being celebrated.
And why did this even come out in the first place? Like, was she writing some sort of a new book? Or I mean, like
Fantastic Beasts.
But then, like when she started saying all this stuff on Twitter and like weighing in, it did seem so sort of like out of nowhere.
I don't know. I think there's a lot of people who have a phone, have a Twitter account, maybe a woman, and are being told something that doesn't make sense to them, and so they respond.
Don't forget that she's a semi-prolific writer. She put out hundreds of thousands of words in God knows how many years, and now I don't think she's writing as much. So those thoughts don't stop.
Right. And then, so the scary part of this chapter we're in as a society is she needs to be canceled. The creator of this thing that we're having a reunion about and has employed millions and made millions and sold millions. She's got to be removed over something that's not involved with the actual product.
Sure.
Now, you're being removed for the way you think. Now, if somebody says, we got to tear down this Confederate war statue, you go, well, that's what he did.
Right.
Right.
That's what he did.
Him.
Or we need to edit out some of the language from the Disney film from
Right.
Peter Pan, or the way the Indians are portrayed in Peter Pan, or Jungle Book, or whatever it is. That at least you can draw a straight line. This is simply thought policing.
Mm-hmm.
This is like, and now we're getting into sort of McCarthyism, because it's like, hey, I want to work in Hollywood. I want to write scripts. Well, you can't, because you talk about this or think about this other stuff.
Right.
And they're like, yeah, but I'm writing a script.
Has nothing to do with
it's
that.
a Western.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
I know, but I know the way you think.
But you think about this, so we got to remove you from that. That and being done by the McCarthyism people.
Right.
That's the best part.
You know who is kind of the was kind of the canary in the coal mine for this? She got Roseanne. Because Roseanne got written off her own show, and they just kept trucking right along.
That's right. That's right. Over. And I stand by a Valerie Jarrett.
Valerie Jarrett.
Yeah, I cannot.
she thought the bitch was white.
She thought the bitch was right. Show a picture of her. Yeah, I'm with Roseanne on that one. But anyway, all the cast has tweeted support for the trans community during the initial controversy,
how
too.
nice.
All right.
Necessary?
The trans community has essentially hijacked our culture. This is awesome.
We should assume if you're still invited to the gala, you're on the side of
You're
the
on the
trans
cool
community.
side, yeah.
Otherwise, that you wouldn't be invited.
We have a clip of Bill Maher, who, back to the Dave Chappelle stuff, I think he went on and did a kind of one-on-one with Andrew Cuomo. Is it Andrew Cuomo?
Chris.
Chris Cuomo. I got too many Cuomos in my head. Because then the dad was
Mario.
Mario. All right, anyway. He did a one-on-one with Chris, and Bill's got a fair amount of F me money as well. And he's standing his ground on the Dave Chappelle thing.
Well, I defended him.
I know.
I'm Team Dave.
Why?
And free speech. Well, first of all, you say going after. You use terms like homophobia. I was speaking recently about phobia. There's a word that's traveled quite a bit from its original meaning. A lot of mission creep on that word, phobia. It's become really just a way a word they use to say, I don't like something.
That's right. It's not a fear.
Phobia means an irrational fear. You know, spiders, arachnophobia. You know, you have an irrational fear. Okay, germaphobia. I see all the hand sanitizers here. To me, that would be germaphobia.
But those are only for shaking hands with me.
I see. Which I never was worried about, and still I'm not. But he's not afraid of homosexuals.
Right.
Or it's not transphobic. It's that this trans stuff is very new. I don't think he or myself or any other, again, right-thinking person thinks there aren't such things in the world as people who are trans, who are born in a body that doesn't align with what their brain is telling them. That's okay. But now we're talking about children. It's interesting. Someone I know, a woman in her 40s, said to me somewhat recently at a dinner party that when she was a kid, she was what they used to call a tomboy. She said, I never was interested in wearing a dress. I only wore pants until I was like 14 or 15. She said, if I was around today, they would have made me into a boy here in California. That's what we're talking about. This is new, so don't put it into this category of this is settled science. Anything that deviates from the one true opinion on this means you're some horrible bigot and transphobic. That's not what's going on here. And I don't think Dave Chappelle is transphobic. I mean, a lot of that special is talking about his opening act.
Right.
Who's trans? Okay? It's just like, can we take a breath? Maybe we are going too far with the children part of this. You know, kids should not be really making decisions about their gender. I mean, Mario Lopez was almost canceled for suggesting that maybe 3-year-olds shouldn't decide their gender. This is not crazy stuff that makes you a bigot.
Well, Bill is I don't think Bill is changing his tune at all. I think the band is playing the tune differently, and he stopped dancing. He's like, I'm this liberal guy who's progressive, but you guys are playing a different song than I was dancing to before. And the thing I actually thought about when I was thinking about transphobic, I always hate it when people go, you know, these are Americans that are scared of people that look different than them. Like, that's all of America all the time. you couldn't get into a fucking Uber if you were scared of people that look different than you, and they're calling everything phobic. Yeah, they're not phobic, but there is probably a new transphobia, which is shut your fucking mouth or they'll ruin your fucking career. I would be transphobic from that perspective. Sure. I'm not scared of the trans community, but you should now be scared of them ruining your career if you send out a tweet like J.K. Rowling did. So maybe there is a transphobia, but it's
not what you think.
Not what you think, but you would be wise to be transphobic if you're a young comedian or up-and-coming writer.
This might be a naive question, but the thing I don't understand is you hear a lot of people say, and rightly so, I haven't changed my position. Everybody else has moved away from me. And that's always met with like, that's bullshit, you're a traitor to whatever. But why is it so hard to admit if that's your thinking? Like, that's right. We have progressed in this direction. Why is that such a bad thing when it's true?
Which part?
Saying like, I haven't changed my beliefs. You've changed your beliefs and moved away from, you've moved away from Bill Maher. Why is that so hard to admit?
That's kind of the implied goal,
right?
Is to move forward, move on, whatever.
Yeah.
Why is that taken with such defensiveness?
Oh, you mean why would Bill?
I'm sorry if I'm not being clear. Why would the community he's saying that to, like, I am still a liberal progressive guy. You guys are the ones who've moved away from me. Why would that group be so defensive? Just admit it.
Oh, we've moved away?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Why is that so hard to admit?
I don't know. There's not a lot of really admitting. There's just a lot of canceling. And everyone is so fucking scared that they just go along with it. And it's it's not the fault of the person. You take what's his name from The Bachelor?
Oh, Chris Harrison?
Harrison?
We've already forgotten.
Harrison. It's
I didn't
not
watch The Bachelor.
His fault. He didn't do anything. And it's not the whatever community, Black Lives Matter, it's not their fault. They're doing what they do. It's NBC or ABC. Right. It's their fault for immediately caving.
Right.
That's the problem. It's the boardrooms and the corporations that immediately cave. That's what's because it takes it's not the black community or the trans community that gets you canceled. It's the corporate network or the corporation that immediately pulls the plug on you.
Right. And just as an example of changing the language, excuse me, Adam, it's not called canceling anymore. It's simply deplatforming.
Deplatforming.
Okay.
Right.
Dare
right.
you.
Right.
Yeah, Bill was saying that like even he was using the word woke, and they're talking about how like, oh, AOC says woke is old news now, and Bill's like, what grade are we in? like I just learned it, I can use it, but yeah, so even the word woke is getting
woke is chuggy.
Yeah.
All right, we got made up movies to play. So
I loved Bill saying
that.
he was at a dinner party with a young lady.
Yeah, and the conversation revolving around her wearing pants was him going, why are you still wearing your pants?
You still have clothes on. I've been paying you for the last hour.
All right, let me hit Simply Safe. Simply Safe wants your home to feel safer. There's no better time than now. This week, our friends at Simply Safe are giving my show listeners, early access to their Black Friday deal, 50% off. Everything you need, indoor and outdoor cameras, comprehensive sensors, around-the-clock monitoring by trained professionals who send help the instant you need it. Named Best Home Security System by U.S. News and World Report. Easily customized, and the system, you can do it online in minutes, even get free custom recommendations as well. There's Simply Safe's biggest discount of the year. Get a complete home security system at just over $100 with no long-term contracts and commitments. Supplies limited. Take 50% off at simplysafe.com/Adam. That's simplysafe.com/Adam. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back with Made Up Movie right after this.
And now, Alcoa presents Definitely Not a Jew on the Adam Carolla Show. Dateline, Ottawa, Canada. A 32-year-old woman was charged with abduction, assault, breaking and entering, and weapon possession after attempting to kidnap a newborn from a new mother. The woman subdued the mother using bear repellent. Definitely not a Jew.
All right. Intro. Made up movie.
In a world where titles are many and plots are few, one man can take your movie names and make them come to life.
What is going on?
Adam Carolla stars in Made Up Movie.
All right. Let's start at the top. Speak to Mike, 40 from Virginia. Mike.
Miho?
Maha?
What's going on?
Give us a title so we can make up a movie around it.
Run of the mill.
All right. I have a take.
Give it to us.
Let's hear it.
All right. There's an old textile mill in Indiana. And the dad, Liam Neeson,
Sure.
haggardly, let
Yeah.
the beard grow out a little bit.
Beleaguered, yeah.
He's been running this mill. It's like a family mill. It was
Right.
passed down from his father and so on and so forth. And, of course, things are changing. A lot of stuff's going to China.
Sure.
A lot of stuff's moving to Canada. They're going to open a big textile mill in Canada.
The supplier shut down.
Work is slowing down,
Right.
and this mill that's been in the family for 122 years looks like its days are numbered. But he has a young, plucky daughter, Charlize Theron, who's in New York.
Oh.
And she's working for an ad firm.
Sure,
Yeah,
sure.
They
fast-paced
do that
living.
thing.
Because
she's-
her, walking in the street with purpose, Starbucks in her hand.
Got her
Right,
AirPod
got the
talking,
assistant
yeah.
following her while she's shouting out things, and the assistant's trying to write down things on the phone as fast as she can. Gets up. Now, she has a relationship that's not... She's realizing that this world, her world was... She wants to get away. We have a scene where somebody says to her, like, "Where are you from again?" And she goes, "Oh, well, I was born in Paris."
Sure.
And then we moved
I
to
spent most of
Malibu.
my childhood in.
Right.
Yeah.
She's trying to get away from this
Right.
old Indiana.
Right.
She feels like a bumpkin, and
Right.
she's trying to overcompensate with all the glitz and glam of Manhattan, and she's never looked back, kind of thing. But she gets the call from the dad that the mill is closing down.
She's
Needs
like,
help.
that mill was still around?
Right.
Because your mother put everything she had in here for 30
Right.
years.
Yeah,
working the phones, working the front desk.
Right.
Right.
And her secret is like she does feel this unwavering allegiance to help her dad.
And we have the scene where her boyfriend says he's met a younger woman,
Okay.
and he's out of there, and we find her alone in her giant Manhattan penthouse. And she pours a glass of wine. She reaches for the old scrapbook.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's a touching montage.
Right.
Yeah.
And she's
Sure,
sipping her
flipping pages.
wine, and
Right.
she's looking at the old black and white pictures of the
Pigtails,
grandparents in
yeah.
the mill, and her up there. Yeah.
You mentioned the sort of assistant she's always barking at, Adam Devine type from Workaholics. Maybe he comes back with her. You know what I mean? And he becomes like the safety and operations
Right.
manager.
Right.
He's bamboozled at like how poorly this place is run. He's like, that's an OSHA violation. That's an OSHA violation.
Right. And he's
a
saying it
comic
to all
relief.
the haggard guys who've
Right.
been there for 40 years.
Dale, put on your helmet.
Yep, that's right. And she's, we see her walking in with her high heels and gets stuck in the mud, and that she's not dressed for it. She's clearly fish out of water.
Yep.
But she's got insight. She's keen. She's going to roll her sleeves up.
At one point, the dad opens up her, remember, I kept your room the same, and it's all of her old clothes. And she kind of has a character transition there with, like,
Puts the coveralls back
ditching the
on.
Ann Taylor and the Banana Republic.
Right. And the deal she makes with herself and with her dad, like, fine, but I'm only giving you 2 weeks because I got to get back to my life.
Right. And then she gets a call from her, like, snarky publicist chick who's back in Manhattan. Like,
Right.
what are you hanging around with all those filthy Walmart
How's the
shoppers or
pigsty?
something? And she's like, these are some of the hardest working people.
Yeah.
So now
Yeah.
That's right.
She's back
she
in.
defends them.
Yeah.
They have to invent something in this mill. Like, there has to be,
Some revolutionary.
they were
Yeah.
making industrial grade smocks for people who work in the smelting
Sure.
industry or
The
something.
glamorous, sexy world.
And she's like looking down at her sexy handbag that cost her
like this.
$18,000, and she's like,
It's so garish, but no, is carbon neutral kind of a thing?
Right,
Where it's
yeah.
like, oh, we figured out a way to go carbon neutral with these.
Right, but the problem with the purse is as expensive as it is and as pretty as it is, it doesn't hold together that well. Like it needs some, it needs some grit.
yeah, and it's made in China or
Yeah.
Mexico or something.
Burlap becomes the new hot fashion trend.
That and more montage.
Yeah.
With the assistant who knows the internet.
Yeah.
And, we get a picture of Kim Kardashian holding
Yeah.
it. He
Sure,
does a thing
sure.
where, he goes down to Malibu and he goes down to, Mr. Chow's
Chow.
or something and hands it to Kim Kardashian. She's like, what is this? And then he takes a picture of it.
yeah.
They put it up on the
Goes
internet.
viral.
Yep.
Goes viral.
Can we do one newspaper spin for the headline?
No,
It's gotta be-
we do a TMZ
Yeah.
Harvey
Oh,
Levin.
okay.
You know that thing
I
where
know if this is a period piece.
it never works, but they could do the thing, and he goes, Kim Kardashian
Right.
spotted.
So on with one of these mill
Right.
bags.
Right, mill bag. Right.
That's good. I like
the
this.
mill.
This is a good holiday movie. We got Christmas
would
coming
watch.
up.
This is a Hallmark movie.
Yeah.
I would watch this.
But Charlize Theron.
Mike,
Yeah,
you okay with that?
I love it. I was thinking about adding that trope where before she went off to become successful, there was that dude that she left behind, and he's still there back at the mill.
Of course.
But I was thinking, wait a minute, let's make it a chick. So then we get the lesbo angle.
Gender
gotta work.
fluid, we call it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there has to be
Ooh.
the salt of the earth guy who drives a stake bed truck,
Yeah.
who's always, way too
Ruggedly
good looking,
handsome.
and he's always still back, kind of doing the you've changed thing
Yeah.
to her.
Maybe a Channing Tatum type.
Is it too precious to make them a transitioned person?
Brian, please.
No, they're very timely.
Yeah,
This is
I
Hallmark,
like
for God's
I like the
sake.
Channing Tatum.
Channing Tatum.
Channing Tatum. I got too many names. Channing Tatum.
Neither of those are names.
Guy. I know. He's the guy. Yeah, he drives a
Yeah.
stake bed truck. He's good looking.
What's up, good looking? Like messing with her from the old days.
Right. She kind of pretends like they didn't date a little in
Yeah.
high school because she's moved on to the city slickers.
That's right.
She asked him to the prom.
Sadie Hawkins, 1989. Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
All right, you good?
Yeah, I'm good. Can't wait to see it.
Yeah, me neither. All right. Any of you guys want to pick a line up there?
How about line 3?
Line 3.
Curious where we're going with this.
Talk to Pete, 48 from Washington. Pete,
Yeah.
you got a
How
title?
about, I do. How about the plagiarizer?
The Plagiarizer.
The Plagiarizer.
So we know that the Marvel universe is filled with characters, filled with superheroes, but we got a new villain in town.
Oh, no.
Guy's writing bad checks.
This is somebody they've dubbed the Plagiarizer
Okay.
in like a sort of a Gotham City universe. Is that DC?
Oh.
Yeah, that's decent.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
I got a thought.
Like the Riddler.
Yes.
He takes on the form of other superheroes.
Hold that thought. So,
Sorry.
like a body snatcher, he can get inside the body of other superheroes
Yes,
and
I
make them
know.
do their bidding.
Yeah.
And they don't know it, but he
That's
still
right.
has all their power.
That's how he wreaks havoc.
Everyone sees him like, hey, Iron Man, or whatever. Hey, good to see you. Thanks
Yes.
for saving the world.
Yes.
Bam, bam, bam.
And not until
Well, it starts
the earth
with
has been scorched.
Iron Man. What are you drinking a Pepsi for? You're a Coke guy. I just thought I'd mix it up.
Don't you have an exclusive deal?
Yeah, they start to, and now they're in the moral quandary because what do? Kill? You know what I mean? It's
Right.
kind of
Yeah.
like those zombie movies. That was your wife. Now
Right.
she's turning.
Yep.
Do you kill her?
Yes.
And he absorbs all the powers of said hero. How the fuck, what are you going to do about the Hulk? You know,
Right.
like, good luck killing the Hulk walking on the street.
And of course, you know, the first act is, or, you know, the first half of the first act is kind of funny. It's kind of like he's getting used to this, but then you don't realize until there is devastation in your path that something's amiss. So now you have to spend all of Act 2 trying to figure out which one of your friends is actually the plagiarizer.
God damn.
This is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have to figure out a way to rid this person we love of this demon that's essentially in them without killing the
Right.
person.
Yeah.
And but only when you figure out that the person isn't who you think it is.
Mm-hmm. Now, do we have a plagiarizer? Is it a he? Is it a she?
Is it someone who does good impressions anyway? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Kind of a younger Baldwin. You know what I mean? Like obviously Alec Baldwin aged out of this role.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Gina?
Well, I was thinking of, he's very hot right now. Things are skewing a little younger. This might be a good vehicle for like a Timothy Chalamet. Because remember, the plagiarizer himself is not in most of the movie. It's being played by the person who the superhero is.
We tell the origin story of young Timothy, who spells his name with two E's.
2 E's and an accent mark.
Yeah. Timothea.
Ugh. All right. We show an origin story of him as a young boy getting bullied.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then sitting, and he's struck by lightning. Sitting and
It's never been done.
thinking, and then taking on the bully.
Yeah.
Becoming the bully, and the bully's punching himself in the face, going, I can't stop. And his bully friend's like, what are you doing, Ralph? And he's like, I gotta know what I'm doing.
Does it get dark? Does he throw himself off like a free overpass?
Oh, yeah. That's good.
Yeah, that's real good.
That's the origin story.
Yeah, I like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And maybe we realize that the plagiarizer was really just a bullied young child, and we need to appeal to the
connect
young.
with.
We need to connect.
Well, a technical question, maybe for Gina, possibly for both of you. What happens to Timothée Chalamet's body when he takes on when he's plagiarizing? See what I'm saying?
Yes.
When he goes inside of Hawkeye, what happens to Chalamet?
Well, that's a very good question. I'm glad you asked it. He has, because he is at his heart an introvert and sort of a fearful kind of guy, he has this like little side room off of his closet in his apartment where he just like goes and shuts it. So nobody ever sees him.
Oh, so his body's in stasis.
Right, when he's sort of transcendental,
Because is there a twist where he goes into the body of his young crush, and he knows where his body is? See what I'm saying?
Pete?
It's some fucking weird shit.
I'm down.
Hold on, is Pete up? I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go, Pete.
Not only am I impressed, I can't wait to see the ride at Disneyland.
Oh, that's right. That's going to be good.
right.
All the mirrors.
Yeah, I sit on the
Marvel.
lap of whoever's in your seat. Hey, thanks, Pete.
Thanks, guys.
All right. I have thoughts. You have thoughts, Brian?
I liked initially line 2, but I feel personal connection with line 4.
Let's go 4.
Unless you
want to
feel
go 4
strongly.
too?
Let's go 4.
All right. Adam, 36, Washington.
Yeah, the movie title is At a Loss. Can you make a win out of this loss?
Is it coming of age drama?
Hold on. He'll take his movie off the air.
All right, thanks, Adam. This is a caller, Adam. This is a coming of age drama. I don't know. Do we know a young actor like a Tom Holland? Maybe younger than that. You know what I mean? Like middle school age.
Ooh.
The kid from Room.
Oh, yeah, he's got to be older now.
Yeah, anyway. Neither here nor there. We'll work out the casting later. It was a coming-of-age drama about a young middle school boy, maybe a little chubby, friendly, knowledgeable, but, he starts to lose his hair at a young age.
Seth Rogen?
Premature. Well, thinking middle school.
Oh, middle
Jacob
school.
Tremblay.
Okay,
Jacob
starts
Tremblay, yeah.
losing.
This is a young boy who's cursed with a premature male pattern baldness.
Sure.
And, despite being a nice, friendly, personable kid, is the victim of mockery by all of his classmates.
Oh, we have that scene where the two pretty popular girls talking at lunch in the quad.
Who do you like?
And the one says, the character's name,
Right.
I guess
Probably
we
Brian.
could call him Byron or something like that. And so the
Brian Hislop.
Then let's just reenact that scene, Gina.
Yeah.
So I'll be the young girl. You'd be like, who do you think's the cutest in the school?
Oh, I got to tell you, I get so many butterflies in my stomach when I see Brian.
You mean Byron?
When I see Byron.
For example, Byron?
Yes.
You mean Byron Dishlog?
Not Byron Dishlog.
That's sort of how it play out. That'd be in the trailer, and we cut to the kid again, chubby hair, pattern baldness starting to set in at 12 years old, single teardrop. Just he's within earshot. Byron Dishlog is within earshot. But is in this fantasy is a young girl who maybe sort of takes a liking to him and realizes he's a little more substance there.
Impossible.
Yeah. I'm saying in this fantasy.
Yeah, I like it. I would watch
It's a coming of age movie.
Exactly.
All
He's got to
right.
overcome difficulties.
We got one more up there. Try it out. James. Oh, James
come on.
34 from. Oh, maybe I screwed
I think
this
you got
up.
both, actually.
Oh, sorry. Okay, let me try that. Let's see. James.
Hit.
I'll try.
I had hold.
Wait. Okay. Hold.
Now hit 2. There we go.
Oh, look
there
at you.
we go. Well, he was the phone
You
guy.
guys there?
That's true.
Yeah. What's going on, James?
Adam, Gina, Bald.
Hey.
Hi, guys.
What you got?
So my movie title is Checked Out.
Oh. You have thoughts, you said?
I was thinking of kind of that series. Remember, there'd be like Dane Cook and Jessica Simpson or something. They worked at a big Costco or something.
Employee of the Year, I think
Yeah,
is what it's
those
called.
kinds of movies.
Yeah.
Employee of the
Like
Month, something.
we take the chick who's clearly hot, but we make her the plain Jane at the
Right.
dollar store.
Yeah.
Oh, she has a low ponytail and glasses.
Yeah, right. And of
This
course,
impossibly gorgeous creature. Let's make her stock the shelves.
right.
Right.
Nobody knows she's hot.
Right.
Except for the guy who's the the main star of this
Right.
thing. But so we have her at like the dollar store. You know what I mean? And there's a big deal because of inflation. The 99-cent store is going to have to go to $1.29.
Oh, boy.
And she's
It's going to ruin their branding.
she has that life with her cat. And we show the sad thing where, she goes back to her apartment and she opens the Chef Boyardee ravioli and warms it on the stove.
Right.
Doesn't even take it out of the can.
Splits it with her cat.
Yeah, splits it with her cat. But then there has to be some love found. Somebody's got to come into her world. Maybe we do. Maybe we take Chris Pratt and we tell him, you know what? Instead of slimming down for the superhero stuff, go ahead and pack
Shove
on.
it up.
Shove it up a little bit.
Have some pie.
Parks and Rec it back up.
Yeah, Parks and Rec it back up because this is a quieter, smaller film. It's a study
Right.
of two people falling in love.
It's Oscar
Yeah.
bait. Yeah.
Yeah, he gets a.
Is she impossibly gorgeous like a Margot Robbie?
No, because everybody else would see it.
But that's the joke in these movies. Is
Yeah,
that they're
that's
always
true.
so hot. It's like what? Yeah. Essentially, a supermodel standing next to you.
Or sort of an Every Girl and Amy Adams and Anne Hathaway. It doesn't
Like I
hurt
think
your
Anne
eyes to
Hathaway's
look at
every
him.
girl.
Yeah, well, let's go.
Well, she's no Margot Robbie.
Let's go with Amy Adams.
Yeah.
All right. And she's frumped up and, low self-esteem. Got a little bit of that Talia Shire and Rocky.
Oh.
Speaking of boxing movies, she's Amy Adams from the Fighter. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Sort of
Right,
the girl
that-
at the bar.
That
Trumpy.
fighter. Right. Now, something's got to turn. I mean, there's got to be a robbery.
Right.
She gets shot and goes into a coma. He nurses her back.
Dark.
It's got to be something. Something's
Well,
got to
she's
turn.
stocking shelves.
Yeah,
she's
something
by
fall on
herself.
her.
She's having to put the 10-gallon drums of, frosting up there. And, she can only do so much before it knocks her out.
All right. Now, what happens is she's got this shit dad, right? It's kind of the white trash dad. So you never amount to anything. So he's smoking, wearing the wife beater
Right.
and all that kind of stuff. She goes into a coma. He's going to sue the shit out of the 99-cent store, but he can't get paid until she dies.
Oh, boy.
Oh, Jesus.
All right. Now, he wants to pull the plug early and often, but Chris Pratt's character
Won't
went-
let Tommy Lee Jones do it?
he went in there. That's right, Tommy Lee Jones. He went in one night after visiting hours at the hospital, and he started singing the song with his ukulele.
They have a Muzak song they always kind of laugh about. You know, when it comes on, like,
Right.
oh, here it is
Right.
again. It's always on every, 45 minutes.
Right. And you see her squeeze
Yeah,
his
she's-
finger.
exactly.
Just a
Little twitch of
little
the
hand
pinky.
squeeze.
Yeah.
And then the
A
next
little
day,
brain activity. Beep.
Yeah, and next day you have the doctors, she's in a vegetative state. She's probably not going to last the weekend. She's going to be this way. We're going to have to pull the plug.
That damn frosting.
Pratt's, and he's being restrained by the guards, you know what I mean? Because he's down the hall, and they're going to pull the plug.
Family only, sir. Family only.
I'm pretty sure they shut the machine. I don't know if they physically pull the plug out of the wall.
Yeah, I don't think
maybe rules are rules.
Cut the power.
I don't know. Go hit the breakers, Tim. How about we do? There's an on and off button on
Hedge trimmers.
It's called pulling the plug. Now I'll go pull the plug.
Yeah. Does the doctor put his hand on Tommy Lee Jones and goes, "I'm sorry, sir. She's checked out."
Oh, she's checked out.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's great.
That's good. James?
Yeah, I love it.
Powerful?
Yeah, powerful. Took a different direction than I thought you would go, but hey, that's why you play the game, I guess.
That's why you got to play the game. All right, thank you. We got an outro.
Adam Carolla will return in Made Up Movie Part 2.
Funny you should mention the plug thing as it pertains to hospitals and hospital beds. Every time I go to get my infusion, my physical machine, this tree that they hang all the drugs on, everything, the IV, everything is plugged into the wall, but it has obviously a battery, inside of it or something, because you can unplug that thing and walk or go to the bathroom, walk around wherever. Yeah, you got it on wheels. You're just kind of walking down the hall with this thing attached to you, of course, but pulling the plug is not not the same implication as it was.
We need to modify to pull the plug and no battery backup.
It's not as catchy.
Yeah.
Right.
So
or go full pillow over.
Before we go too far away from pulling the plug, I just thought of a new game. We get 4 callers with 4 small businesses on the phone, and they have to entertain us, tell a joke, give us a great something, or we pull their plug and we don't give them their plug for their business.
Pull the plug.
Pull the plug.
That's it's on the nose, but it's good.
We've met, right?
I love it.
We're not doing morning radio here per se. Gina, what we're doing is a slightly more nuanced approach.
Give it to Heidi
the
and
audio.
Frank. Never mind.
Brusca would have come up with that. Oh, wait. All right, let me tell you about Beanbox. Beanbox connects coffee lovers to some of the world's best specialty coffees with curated tasting flights, perfect for a gift. Yeah, holidays coming around. Some people are hard to shop for. The good news is everyone loves coffee. There are a lot of people that don't drink or they don't have a favorite team or whatever it is, but they love coffee. I got into this last night because they have lots of varieties, and they also have some chocolates that go along with it as well. And I had a couple pieces of chocolate, and then I had the coffee in the morning, the coffee sampler gift subscription. 4 new expertly curated coffees every month, and you can save when you give 6 months or more. World Coffee Tour Box, 16 of the world's best micro lot coffees, deluxe coffee and chocolate tasting box. This is what I got into last night. 8 gourmet coffees, perfectly matched with artisan chocolates. Yeah, the good stuff. Man, like I said, I had the chocolate last night and the coffee this morning. So damn good. It's Beanbox, right, Dawson?
Give the coffee fanatic in your life an unforgettable coffee tasting experience with Beanbox. Order today at beanbox.com/Adam and get 15% off purchases of $40 or more. It's 15% off purchases of $40 or more with promo code Adam at beanbox.com/Adam.
All right. We will take a quick break. We'll come back with the Peter Stormare right after this.
Every 60 seconds, not 1, but 2 children are trafficked. And every 30 seconds, one is forced into exploitation for the purpose of heinous acts.
Human trafficking is happening in your own backyard. It is happening to your neighbors.
Many whom we see every day in our own communities, hidden in plain sight.
You know, there's kids out there that are being bought and sold 20 times a day.
We must bring the child back to the center of our care and concern. Today, we launch Goya Cares.
Goya Cares is committed to supporting victims and overcomers of trafficking and abuse, to recover, restore, reconnect, and to shine the light that will block traffic.
This is where we become the light.
God saved me. I believe that I was called to this. Perhaps He's calling you too.
Block traffic.
Join Goya Cares and visit blocktraffic.org.
It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Ace Man, Bud and Charlotte, I've got a question for you. Would you rather have your greatness honored with a street named after you or a statue at your favorite venue? Get it on.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
I think as they were putting my statue up, an angry group of college students would surround it, chanting that it needed to come down. So I don't think my statue's going to last 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's not long for this world.
I'm going with the street.
Birds are going to crap on it.
You go with the street because eventually they would change the name of the street, but people would always just remember the old name.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Peter Stormare is here. The Grand Duke of Corsica is the name of the movie. It's available now on VOD and on demand as well. Good to see you, Peter.
Hey, how you doing there, guys?
We're doing good. Where are you zooming?
Yeah.
Where are you zooming in from?
Sunny Los Angeles. Where are you seated? I can't see the background.
Oh, we're somewhere in Glendale, California. Hell, you should have come in.
Yeah. Not too far away. No.
Yeah. And so we're looking at all your credits, and you're one of those guys where maybe you don't recognize the name immediately, but when you say Fargo and Armageddon and Minority Report and Lost World and all that kind of stuff, Big Lebowski, you're like, oh, that guy.
One of the great that guys in really in film history.
Do you get a fair amount of that guy when you're walking around the Gelsons in Santa Monica?
Yeah, neighbor mistook me from working at Rite Aid. She said, "Oh, you're the pharmacist from Rite Aid. Can I ask you a question?" And I said, "Yeah. Do you think I should take this over the counter or should I go to the doctor?" And I said, "You do whatever you think is best." Okay. And she came back like a month later, crawling with a tail between her legs and saying, I'm so sorry. I mistook you for the pharmacist. You're that guy. I'm on the top 10 list of that guy.
You really are. I'm
proud.
I'm always curious with character actors like yourself. What do you get recognized most for, say, in public? Someone comes up to you, "Oh, I love you from so and so."
Depends what's on reruns. It's been a lot of Constantine lately. Constantine, the devil in Constantine. Yeah. I don't know why it's resurfaced after 10 years, but it's very popular and everybody's watching it. Might be on Netflix. So a lot of those old movies are coming up, but Armageddon is one of the main one, I guess.
Well, speaking of the main movies, something that we all think of course, is Fargo. And we were just talking about how you're one of the characters in a movie who's done so much with such few words that it leaves this lasting impression. I have to imagine that was a great casting choice for them, but also a choice on your part.
Yeah, but my only idol I have in acting is Clint Eastwood. I grew up with a spaghetti western up in northern Sweden, and The Good, the Bad, and Ugly, and the other movies he did with the Italian director was amazing. How much you can explain with just a look, and just to lean back and don't push down into the viewer's throat, because sometimes the audience wants to come with you on the journey. So keep your mouth shut and let them be with you. Yeah. I wish I could work with Clint, but I haven't had the pleasure so far. I met him once, and I was I blushed like a little girl shaking his hand.
He's going to direct till he's 112, so you still have time.
Yeah, I still have time. I guess so. Yeah, he's phenomenal.
It is crazy. I'll tell you where it really kind of comes home to roost is my dad is Clint Eastwood's age. And when I go and visit my dad, it's all he can do to kind of sit up in the chair and have a semi-coherent conversation about something that happened 70 years ago. And then you think about Clint Eastwood's like directing, starring. I don't know, is it just all genetics or is it some sort of inner drive that, propels him?
He has an inner drive. The inner drive, yeah, because the brain, the endorphins from the brain feeds the body. And the beautiful thing about being an actor or a director or working with our profession is that you feel like you're 16 years old every time you start a project, and it's a lot of joy, and you can ask stupid questions, and it's a joy to be doing the things we're doing. We are lucky people. And I think for him, it is like the brain is feeding his body with a lot of positive endorphin that just invigorates him to continue doing what he's doing. And his last movie is not the best script in the world, and he's getting older, but the way he's directing and he stars in it, and I admire him tremendously, while the other actors and directors are sort of just leaning back and enjoying some fame and fortune, and traveling around the world giving speeches like a president. He at least he works hard. But I think you can see when he's acting, it's a lot of joy. He's proud of doing what he's doing. And that's the beauty of our work. Or to be a musician like B.B. King, to sit and play until you're 91 and then you fall off the chair.
Kept him alive.
Yeah. It's just to work with art every day is not the same. And I feel very fortunate that every day is so different from the previous day. And it's the joy to wake up and to say, today is going to be a fantastic day. And a lot of people are doing very monotonous jobs, and it's sort of a lot of repetition, and you're doing the same thing all over again. But, we are the lucky ones.
Well, I know you're kind of spiritual, and...
Aren't we all?
To lesser degrees.
Come on.
Well, I mean, I always I used to work very monotonous, repetitive jobs like you're talking about. And it's kind of hard to be happy when you're doing that. On the other hand, there's ways to make you happy doing repetitive stuff that seems very menial that way. And I don't know, I'm curious of your thoughts on that.
Well, I've done monotonous jobs growing up, and even when I started my career over here living in New York, I worked, construction, demolition. But I want to be the best, on doing, putting up a sheetrock. I became number one, or with the demolition, I became the number one with a sledgehammer. I wanted to be the best one. I wanted to stick out. I wanted to be promoted. So for me, it was, or even driving a van with bread to different shops in New York. But I was number one. I wanted to be the best.
You know what? It is
bread delivery in Brooklyn Heights. I wanted to be the best one. And I succeeded.
It's interesting. When you do come across, we never really think about this, but when you come across one of those people, and you run across people doing jobs all day long, because you're living in a society surrounded by people that are doing jobs, and sometimes they're coming to your house and doing something. Sometimes you encounter them in their store, workplace, airport, whatever. When you see someone who's doing what you consider a sort of thankless, kind of menial, kind of boring, like, well, here's what you would end up doing if you never studied in high school and you didn't go to college. This is what you would end up doing. And you see one of those people, you don't see them often, but you see them and they're really into it. Like every once in a while, you'll get the guy who drives the shuttle at the airport.
Yes,
and
I just had that guy.
67 years old, and you go, dude, you should be fucking miserable. And he's up on his feet and he's helping
like,
people.
Terminal 6, Terminal 7, he's like, coming up on so-and-so.
That guy's
making the announcements.
I guarantee that guy's happier than other people you think have really killer jobs who are always put upon and semi-miserable about what they're doing, even if it's in an amazing environment. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. No, those people are, I mean, even with when I'm home and I get the mail, which is like rare, maybe it's a dying form of handing out letters, but the mailman is here. I usually open the door, even in COVID with a mask, saying, thank you. Awesome. I got the mail today. And it cheers him up or her. and we become friends. And I always give them a little gift for the holidays and stuff. Even people picking up the garbage, I make a little Christmas gift or Easter gift, and they appreciate it, and it makes them happy. You have to spread, even if you do monotonous jobs, you can be sharing with them, that they're doing something that gives you some pleasure in life too. I love to get mail. You only get emails these days. So even if I get like the crap, I open it up and I read it and I toss it.
Oh, value pack.
Yeah.
Penny saver.
Yeah. But it is, I mean, every people I work with, even on the set, I was brought up in theater, and in theater where I grew up in Sweden at the National Theater, which all European countries have, like a national theater or national ballet or opera. But at the theater, it was one thing going to the academy that people said, my teachers said, you have to learn the names of the people working down at the front desk and all the people doing, the stage work behind you, those guys and girls working on stage hands. Learn their names as fast as you can. Address them with a name. Show them respect. Without them, you wouldn't be there in the limelight. So that's how I was brought up, and if I hadn't been lucky just to walk away from my village, I would have been a mailman in my home village, I know. And I would appreciate that people came out and said, thank you, Pete. That's great. I got some letters today, not just bills. So it's an attitude of life. I was born like a positive soul, and I can't wash it away. And it grows on me. And I see a lot of negative people. And I always try to tell them, try to be positive. We need people who carrying the torch of light. We don't need the naysayers.
I'm so glad you said that about the mailman. I have similar interactions. It was always very normal to me in my house. If you're at, Subway or the deli counter, there is no, give me a, we don't say, it's, hi, can I please have, the people that say, give me a, freak
my parents
me
knew
out.
my mailman, growing up, like gifts for holidays, and Pete, Dave or Pete or one of those names, they knew who he was growing up.
Oh, of course. Yeah. And you said coffee. I don't do coffee. But every Wednesday I go into Starbucks I am blessed with a young daughter, 12. And on Wednesdays, she gets picked up by the bus at the Starbucks going to school. So every Wednesday she can have a drink, a coffee or an iced tea or whatever. And when I walk in there's all these people that have pre-ordered things. And Jesus, I want to smack them. They walk in, they kick the line, they walk in and say, I'm Deborah, where's my stuff?
Grab and go.
Here's Deborah. The grab and go. And there's no courtesy. There's no tip. Maybe they tip on the phone, but there's no the tip jar. They never go to the tip jar. And they always kick me around. They always kick people around and they grab and they go. Mm-hmm. They don't even say thank you. What a weird world.
Did you grow up in a smaller village, you were saying?
Yeah, like 1,000 people. We didn't have a coffee shop.
What was it called? Did it have a good name?
Oh, no, you can't even pronounce it. It's called Arbro, like R and brother. Arbro.
Like a pirate from the valley.
Yeah, Arbro.
A lot of umlauts.
Nordic name.
Did you always know you wanted to act? Did it seem like a low percentage career coming from Arbro?
Yeah, because you couldn't say that you were interested in poetry and ballet and opera or something. I grew up with Jimi Hendrix, and I was torn because I wanted to write poetry and sit in my closet and just dream about outer space. But it was hard to be, not in the box growing up in in a small village, and growing up in Sweden overall, you have to be in a box. You have to be like everybody else. Otherwise, they roll you in tar and feathers. So I had a hard time, but luckily I knew by the age of 5, 6 that I would live in California and work with movies. And I told my parents, and that dream or premonition was driving me to keep it to my heart and not tell anybody. And one day I just left the village and I was in Stockholm. And one day I was in a academy of acting, and people said, well, where the fuck is Peter? Sorry for my Norwegian there. Where the hell is Peter? Yeah, where the hell is Peter? Well, I guess he's working at the National Theater now. How the hell is that possible? That idiot working there. And then I worked, like with Ingmar Bergman as my mentor and teach. I worked as a director and actor. And then all of a sudden, after 10 years with Bergman, and I had offers from here, I had been out here performing his productions. I had an agent. And all of a sudden, I just disappeared from the National Theater, too. It took them half a year to locate me, and I was on stage in New York. And I said, bye-bye. So I've always been driven by my premonition I had as a young guy that I would end up in the U.S., I would live here, and I would live in California, close to Disneyland, and work with movies.
Do you still... I always ask this, and the answer is always the same, and it always upsets me. But at this stage in your career, with all these varied parts you've played, do you have to go in and audition at this stage?
No, not really.
Oh, good.
If I have to, I tell them to go and Norwegian themselves.
Go watch Fargo, you son of a bitch.
Yeah. No, because if you don't know, and these days, all the casting, it's different today. A couple of years later with the internet, it's like 21, 22-year-old sending out spam mail. Hey, we want you for this part. You got to be 20 to 21 to 25. And I say, why the hell do I get this email? Why do we get this email? Because I fired my agents and everything. So I just go with a lawyer. And so it's bizarre these days. You don't get casted from who you are, really. It's a lot of spam letters getting out. But if no one wants to cast me, I have other things to do. I'm a good writer, and I go over to my old home country sometimes. I do some projects over there, and I have a car. I hate jewelry on my hands, and I never buy clothes. I never, cut my hair. They do it when you do a movie. I never cut my beard unless I'm in a movie. They cut it. So I have not really a lot of expenses. I come from a very simple background, and I don't collect cars. I don't want I don't want to live in a big fancy house.
Oh boy! Just when you and Peter were at a blossoming romance.
Let's wrap this up. The name of the movie.
The Grand Duke of Corsica. You have to see it, and it's a weird kind of coincidence. It's a movie about, what should I say, two people clashing, one who is a great architect, and I'm Timothy Spall, fantastic English actor, and me doing the Grand Duke of Corsica, living in a dream. He's like a Munchausen. You don't know if he's lying about his life or if it's real, but these two guys become very, very close because the one learns from the other, and together they become companions. But it all ends with a pandemic, and we did this in 2019, October, November.
Oh,
wow!
And then I went up to American Gods in Toronto, a television series for Stars, and I was up there, and I barely made it home. And everything was closed down.
You couldn't get out of Canada. Brian, do you have a question?
I did have a question. I watched the new movie. I liked it very much. Of course, I love all your performances. And I was thinking about something you just said, which was you didn't want to be put in that box way back in the day in Sweden, when ironically, I feel like audiences think of you in a box a little bit, where you're eccentric and you play crazy characters. And how does that affect the roles you go after or envision or play these days, where you play eccentric and crazy very well? Even in this movie, you're the titular Grand Duke.
Because I'm a very boring, like a normal person, you know. I love to work with wood. I love to do things on the house. I'm a regular guy grown up in a little village in the middle of the forest where it has a lot of snow all the time. It's covered by snow at this moment. So for me, I want to do these guys that I would never be as a private person. And I think if you line up 100 male actors, all of them wants to do. I met Harrison Ford some years ago, and he said to me that he could never do those bad guys. He tried once and it became a flop. He said, I envy you that can do all these crazy characters that are so far out there, because I can't do them.
That's funny.
They don't allow me to do them. Yes. So if you're a normal human being, then you want to do crazy stuff in front of a camera or on a stage, because it's rewarding for to use your fantasy and to use all the elements you can try to incorporate in a character. Because in life, I'm a simple guy. I'm a regular guy that I would love to be completely not so crazy, but I call myself a village idiot in a way, because the village idiot he knows something that the rest of the village doesn't know. The village fool is always smiling, standing outside the grocery shop, or some shop, or the hardware store. He stands outside the hardware store with a smile, and everybody asks him, "Why are you smiling?" And he just shakes his head. "Oh, you don't know. That's me." Because, he knows something the rest of the village can't get a grip on, and he's happy.
I think if you label yourself the village idiot, you're fine. It's when the village attempts, in my case, to label me the village idiot. That's when there's a problem.
Yeah,
it always
complimentary.
always made me laugh in Woody Allen's Love and Death when they had a convention for village idiots. and he was driving. He was driving his village idiot to the convention for other village idiots, and it had a big banner that just said "Welcome idiots" in front of like they would go to Vegas and have all the guys who are in the heating and air business all show up in Vegas.
Welcome HVAC professionals.
Can you find that, Chris? In Love and Death, the convention for village idiots always made me laugh. I love that.
Because if my home village, if they started calling me the village, the idiot, some do, I just lean back and say, well, look at yourself and the life you're leading. Is it rewarding? Are you happy?
What kind of woodworking do you do, by the way?
I do a lot of carpentry, but also I do a lot of, I find old pieces of wood. I just went to my storage that I pay $300 a month for like old lumber. And I want to just throw it out because I don't have time anymore. But I take sometimes and I make icons, and it can be a Elvis Presley or Lennon or Paul Strummer or David Bowie, and you have a candle there, and I work on it, and I work with I burn it, and it looks really aging, and it says, "Is that a Madonna?" No, it's Elvis Presley. But people like it, and I give it away, and then somebody said, "You should do these and sell them," and you can't really because it's copyrighted. So I do them one-on-one, I give them away. I don't need to make it a living. But I like to work with wood and I had an old peach tree that my father planted, and he, passed away too early. but we had to take the peach tree down. And now I have a big peach tree with a trunk that is pretty big. And I've been working for at least, for on a 6 feet trunk that is, the diameter is, I don't know, but maybe 10 inches. I've been trying for 2 years now to get the bark off. I have it out. I wash it down.
Wow.
I have it out the sun. Yeah, and it's hard to get the bark off a peach tree. But I'm working on it. Every time I'm home, I'm chopping some bark away. But you can't go too hard because then you destroy the wood. It's got to look like the bark, went by itself, evaporated.
We have the...
So it's nothing I can sell, but for me, it's just beautiful to see the wood, how it looks beneath the bark, and I can touch it, I can smell it and feel it, and it's life.
We got the Village Idiot clip, by the way. Chris is queued it up. We can take a look at that from, 1969, Love and Death? 68?
75.
Yeah.
Oh, 75. Is that late? All right. A very funny, a joke for joke, strongest Woody Allen movie. Not the crimes and misdemeanors and all that stuff. That's all thought provoking with jokes. This is just jokes.
Several days later, we set out for Moscow. We took Bergikov with us part way. He was on his way to Minsk. There was a Village Idiots convention in Minsk, and Bergikov was planning to attend. Village idiots from all over Russia were meeting there.
Stupid.
Playing with a yo-yo.
Trying to get the stick on the ball and walking in a circle. It's a fucking funny joke. There's a convention for Village Idiots.
That's my home village. It looks like the people in my home village.
Is that what? How old is your home village?
Oh boy, it's like from the 13th century or from the Viking age. I come from the last stronghold in Sweden where the Vikings were still holding up until the beginning of the 16th century. Then they were killed off and incorporated with Sweden as a kingdom.
I have a interesting thought, possibly, but I'm from the San Fernando Valley. So for us, we go, what's old? And you go, well, that strip mall was built in the late 60s, so that's pretty old. But if you want to go to Pasadena, they have craftsman houses there that were built in 1919.
Yeah, 100 years old.
That's old.
Yeah.
And then it struck me when I was playing at college, and me and Dr. Drew were driving through, some place in the East Coast, someplace in Massachusetts or something, and the guy said, those are newer houses. Those were built in 1780 or something. And I was like, new? There's nothing in the San Fernando Valley predates 1967.
No, it's all orange groves.
So... But what is it like growing up in a place where generations, does it give you some thought, some insights, something where this thing has been here for 800 years?
Yeah, because you grew up with a lot of older people around you, and you still do. And the traditions are being told down verbally to younger generations. And we're believers in trolls and gnomes and, strange things living in the forest. And you have to be very careful before you go into forest talk, address the forest, address things, like a house that hasn't been occupied for a while. If you go in there, you have to talk to the little ones. And it's like traditions that the old people are telling the younger. And that is something we don't have here. And I agree. I came here and started to work on my house here in West Hollywood. And they say you can't touch anything. Why? Because it's a historic building. Well, it was built in 1926.
Exactly.
Can't, when I lived in Stockholm, it was built in the 14th century. In my apartment building, and they said, well, everything here before 1934 is historic. Okay. So it's but that's the beauty of this country too. we think highly of Europe, but me being European from the beginning, I'm so proud to be an American. Even if all this craziness is going on, I can only see, as a village idiot or fool, I only see a bright future for this country and the world. And I'm obliged sort of to think that way. I don't want to be a negative guy who just shrugs everything off and being seeing just darkness. I see light and beauty in the future. And the same thing, I can talk to you three now, sitting there in a studio, and I'm sitting here in my house. I just came back from a job. I've been home for, 24 hours. And no one is really thinking about that. We four people can communicate has a reason, because generations before us has endured famines, wars, pandemics after pandemics. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. And sometimes when I meet younger people, I say, you complain about this? You should have been at the First World War with the Spanish flu. Then you could complain. Mm-hmm. Or you should have been, with the Black Death and all that. And I'm here because my ancestors went through all that terror and hardship. And the same with your ancestors. That's why we can talk. And I think we don't think back enough. If you think back, you can also start looking into the future and be empowered by your ancestors that walked miles after miles after miles, and they've been they cut their heads off, but the survivor walked away to find some new territory to live in and build a family maybe and continue. And yeah, I'm getting into the deep sea here, but
we like it.
I just think during this pandemic, people are complaining. People want to go on vacation right away. And can't you just give it a little break for a little while? Because it's going to be okay. But sometimes we'll have to just stop and breathe and take it easy. I know economically for some people it's hard. It's easier for others. But if we think about our grandmothers, grandfathers, and going back generations, what they endured so I could be here today, and that I pay a homage every day to my ancestors, because there's so many that never made it to this place because of atrocities that happen in this world.
Well, going back to your ancestors, it strikes me we have to change the name of a lot of our sports teams, because they were called Indians or Braves or Redskins or something. A lot of people replace it. Sometimes it'll get replaced with Viking. We have the Vikings. There's a lot of Viking talk. It's not on anyone's radar, Vikings. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's been on the radar.
It has?
Yeah. They don't want the name Vikings.
Oh.
Really?
Are they going after the Minnesota Vikings?
Yeah.
Oh, they are.
Because Viking stands for pillaging, and killings and all the atrocities. It doesn't stand for some power, like fighter, the Minnesota Fighters maybe. But some people, it's true, because I've been shooting up in Minnesota in 2 seasons. And there's some people up there who debate that doesn't want to have the name of the Vikings.
Oh, really?
But that's for the opposite reason, not like you're appropriating our culture. It's Vikings are not a word we want to be associated with. They were bad. They're not warriors in our mind.
Right. No. And they didn't, but they sailed all the way down to Northern Africa, and they went to the Holy Land, and they went all the way down into the big lakes of the USA. They went all the way, to halfway to India. They came close to India, but the Himalayas stopped them. So they did all this traveling, and that's something amazing. And they took entire France and England for 200 years.
Well, growing up in the village, where there are a lot of guys wearing Fran Tarkington jerseys, like in junior high. I mean, were you guys into the Vikings?
Of course, you learned the root because you were because you're surrounded with graves, like the mold and the mounds and the Viking, like coins and people finding coins and stuff. And that was the route going through my home village out to the Baltic Sea and then over to Russia. And from my home village, they continue over to Norway, to Bergen. So that was a trade sort of track they took. Yeah. So it's a route they took. So we were brought up being proud of the Viking, Viking, not that they went into a monastery and killed a lot of monks and took all the gold. And then the Pope said, you're allowed to conquer anything else, but no monasteries and churches. But you're allowed to kill people and take Paris if you want.
Nice. Reasonable.
Or that's reasonable, but don't kill any of my people, So
well, and there's a fun fact, Adam. You have Dupendrins, right?
Yes, my hands.
There's a very good chance you have Viking heritage. Because they call it the Viking disease because it came out of a lot of Viking people. So we could be talking about you.
Yeah.
I wonder what kind of last name Tarkington is. Sounds like there could be some Viking heritage there.
Yeah, that's very Nordic. You got to.
Tarkington? No wonder he was a Viking.
Have you done your DNA? Have you done your DNA tracing?
No, I'm scared everyone's going to find out we own slaves or something. I'm worried. And also I'm worried that people are going to hit me up for money, you know what I mean? But like I find out I have a cousin on the East Coast and he's not doing so good right now.
Oh, it happened to a couple of my friends. Their father had some kids on the side.
Look, less history, more mystery. That's how I approach every relationship. There's nothing good that can come of this. All right, let me hit.
We have to learn from history, though. We have to learn from history.
Or we can ignore it and keep walking. That's what I do. Just put your head down, walk with purpose.
Mind your business.
I'm good. All right, Peter, hang on for a second. Let me just tell you about Tommy John. This Black Friday celebrates softness season by stocking up on Tommy John underwear, loungewear, and pajamas. Shop their Black Friday sale right now. Give the gift of comfort to everyone on your list, including yourself. I'm wearing my Tommy Johns right now. Over 16 million pairs sold. Giving the gift of Tommy John has to become a holiday tradition for families across the country. Stuff's so good. Now it's getting colder outside. Everyone's putting on the loungewear. Beautiful Tommy John. They don't have customers. They have fanatics. This holiday, make your family even more comfortable with the gift of Tommy John loungewear, underwear, and bras. Best pair you'll ever wear, or it's free. Guaranteed. Right, Dawson?
During Tommy John's Black Friday sale, get 20% off site-wide at TommyJohn.com/Adam. Get 20% off for a limited time only at TommyJohn.com/Adam. Go right now to TommyJohn.com/Adam. See site for details.
All right, Peter, can you hang out with us and we'll do some news?
Yeah. I'm wearing the lingerie right now.
Oh, perfect.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Tommy John.
When you're on set, you never point, even with a rubber gun, don't point it at a person.
Yeah.
Well, somebody should tell the prosecutor.
The Rittenhouse case. He got that. He got that AR-15. He had his finger inside of. By the way, I don't know why you would put your finger in. He was pointing it
at the jury box.
At the jury box.
Bugs Bunny shit.
Yeah.